All right, mathletes, so let's go ahead and talk about these composition and functions, and let's get our hands dirty. All right, so let's take a look at what we have for example 1. So it says f of x is negative 4x plus 9 and g of x is 2x minus 7. And what they want us to do is they want us to find this composition of functions, right? So we're going to compose f with g, all right? So this is f of g here. And what this is really telling us, let me write this down. So what they want is they want us to take f of g. And so what this is telling us is our outer function, the function that we're going to be using is f of x. So we're going to grab this f of x, this negative 4x plus 9, and we're going to be plugging something in for x. All right, so that's the idea. And the inner function, right, because usually we're used to plugging in numbers, right, for x. So if it said f of 5, you would plug in a 5. But what this is telling us to do is to actually plug in the function g of x. So we're going to plug all this 2x minus 7, we're going to plug that in to f, right? So again, if this were a 5, right, we'll just plug in a 5 wherever we see x. So here's the idea I want you to get comfortable with, right? So we're going to grab f here, which is negative 4, but where we see x, I'm going to put a parentheses because I know something is going to go inside of there, right? I'm plugging something in. Well, what are we going to plug in to our function? Well, just like they said, we're going to plug in g of x, and g of x is this right here. So we're going to grab this and we're going to copy and we're going to paste it right there. So I'll do that in a different color because that's what we're plugging in, g of x, 2x minus 7. And if you have different colors, as you're learning this, this might be pretty helpful, right? So go ahead and use that and let me know if that helped you out, right? Because any little tip could kind of open your eyes to something that might be hard to see. Alrighty, so now we just go ahead and simplify, right? So let's simplify things. So we end up with negative 8x plus, and we got 28 plus 9. And if you can, in this case we can, combine like terms, right? So we want to combine like terms, simplify things. So we're left with negative 8x plus 37. And there is our final answer. So when we're talking about composition of functions, what we're doing is we have one function inside of another function, right? And so many things that we see when we're looking at functions have this idea. We really have some functions sitting inside other functions, and this is going to be so helpful when we're looking at so many ideas as we move throughout calculus and throughout our other math classes, because in real life we have functions working together. In this case, functions inside other functions. So let's do some more examples. I have plenty of examples for you today. So make sure before we continue, you hit that like button, subscribe, and do us the big favor, right? This is free. So if you could do us a huge favor and just tell some of your friends, because we're trying to lift this channel off the ground here, and we're really trying to help out a lot of people. So what I want you to look at here is make sure you pay attention to that order. Here, it's telling you that g of x, right? This is the function that's on the outside. So let me go ahead and let's rewrite this. So first, let me copy it down. So we're finding g of f of x, right? And what that means is we're going to take that function g, and maybe I'll just color code this so we could see. So that g of x, that's going to be the outer function, the function we're going to be using, and we're going to plug something inside of it. All right, what are we plugging inside of that function g? Well, it tells us we're going to plug in the function f of x, and this is how baby functions are born. I'm just messing with you. All right, so let's go ahead and take that function g of x, and what is it? Well, they tell us that g of x is 2x minus 7. So let's go ahead and let's use that. So 2x minus 7. And once again, wherever I see that variable x, right, I put that parentheses because I know something's going inside. Well, what's going inside here? What am I plugging in? I'm plugging in f of x, right? That's what I'm going to plug in right there. So let me go ahead and write that down. So I'm going to plug in negative 4x plus 9. And now all we have to do is go ahead and distribute, simplify this. So we're left with negative 8x plus 18, and that minus 7, right? I didn't use that minus 7, so I'm gonna drop it like it's hot. Bam. And we are left with, let's go ahead and combine our like terms. Negative 8x plus 11. We can't do anything else there. A big question you might be wondering is, what happens if I can factor this? We don't want to, right? Factoring is a tool that we use to solve problems when we're solving equations. We use it to simplify fractions. And again, here, all we're doing is we're simplifying this. We don't need to factor. We can't anyways, but if we could, you don't want to factor these. All right, so follow me to this next problem. All right, so now we're working with the big boys here, right? Because now we see something squared. So now these problems are getting a little bit more interesting, right? Not bad at all, right? As long as you have the idea, we could do as many examples as you want, but you really have to understand what the heck it is that we're looking for. So notice we're finding g of h. So right away we should be getting to these good habits, and we know that h is on the inside, right? H is our inner function, right? So when I think about this, again, let me color code this as it's helpful. I'm gonna take that 2, copy it down, but wherever I see x, right, I'm writing those parentheses. And if you notice, now I have 2 x values floating around. So everywhere I see an x, I put a parentheses. Some of you are thinking, well, everywhere I see an x, I usually hide. All right, so what are we plugging in those parentheses? Boom, we're gonna plug in h of x, because that's what it tells us to plug in, right? So it's telling us we're plugging in h of x into this function, g. All right, so what is h of x? Well, h of x, look what they tell us, is 3x minus 5. So that's what we're gonna plug in here, and we're gonna plug that in here. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So we get 2, 3x minus 5. Notice we're gonna square it, minus 7, 3x minus 5. And I don't care how far you get down in math, a lot of people try to take shortcuts and they try to say, oh, 3x squared and then negative 5 squared. No, right? This means we have 2 copies, so don't try to take any shortcuts. Write everything out. It's not the same answer. So we have 2 copies of 3x minus 5, right? I just saved your life right there. You don't even realize. And then I'm gonna go ahead, why not? We'll distribute. So we have minus 21x plus 35. All right, so big tip, write this down. Might not seem like a big deal. You'll thank me later. I'm gonna go ahead and distribute all this first. Once I distribute at the end, then I'll distribute that too, right? So we're gonna FOIL first, multiply this out, and then at the end, we'll distribute that too. A big mistake people make is they multiply this by 2, and then they also multiply this by 2. In reality, they end up multiplying by 4. So to avoid that, the 2, I'm gonna keep it out of harm's way. I'm just gonna drop it there. And then I'll go ahead and FOIL this. So I get 9x squared minus 15x, another minus 15x, and then we got plus 25. And then some people might, I'm just gonna drop down the minus 21x plus 35. So here's your choice. You could combine like terms and get the negative 30 and then distribute, or you could distribute first and then combine like terms. We're gonna get the same answer, right? So let's go ahead, and these two, I'm just gonna combine them for you and get negative 30x. So when I distribute this 2, right, when I distribute this 2, I'm really gonna distribute the 2 with the negative 30. If that's confusing, just throw in that extra step and distribute the 2 to every piece. But again, I think we're okay with understanding negative 15x and negative 15x. That's just negative 30x. So I know a lot of you are trying to work up those hand muscles, but I'm just trying to save your hand there. All right, so when we distribute that 2, we're left with 18x squared minus 60x. Some of you are freaking out. Wait, how are you getting that, Dr. Math? Remember, we're doing 2 times negative 30, right? And then plus 50, sorry that looks ugly, minus 21x plus 35. And now I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna combine my like terms, and then I have like terms right here, right? And then we're done. So let's go ahead and do that. So we end up with 18x squared. For our x values, we got 60 and 21, so we got negative 81x. And then we have 50 plus 35, so we're gonna have plus 85. And again, all we did there was combine our like terms. Be very careful with your signs so you don't make those little mistakes. All right, folks. So again, press pause, go back, look at anything you need to. Let us know if you have any questions. Comment down below, or if this is helpful, let us know, right? Don't stay silent. Tell the world how great we're doing. All right, so the reason I changed these from examples to problems is here's a big thing. When you're doing your homework, you need to do your homework. The homework is a time for you to mess up and to make mistakes, to process everything. And after you do your homework, most people don't do this, right? But I'm giving you all my beast mode tips. Then pick problems from your textbook or from your ebook or from your online homework system, whatever it is that you're using. And what I want you to do is to find problems that are similar and do those on your own. First do them with the notes and then do them completely without using any notes to see how much you really understand, right? So right here, when I say problem 1, now what I'm pretending to do is I picked a problem from the textbook and I want to make sure I understand. So that's why I labeled these different, to give you guys that useful tool. So you want to make sure you get that practice. So not only do the homework, but you have to go that extra step if you really want to understand, right? If you're just trying to get by, do the homework and whatever, then just do the homework. But I think most people, I think they really want to understand what the heck's going on, and that's what I'm here for. All right, so I'm going to take f of x. Oh, you're welcome. I heard someone say, oh, thanks, Dr. Matthew, you're awesome. So I'm going to take f of x, and wherever I see x, I'm going to put parentheses. All right, what is going inside those parentheses? Now we got it. G of x, right? Some of you yelling at your phones, I love it. Some of you yelling at your dogs, take it easy. 3x minus 7. Bam. Once again, right? Don't use that shortcut. We got to make 2 copies. You got to do it, right? You got to do it. So what we have is 3x minus 7, 2 copies, 3x minus 7. We're going to distribute this negative 4, right? So we get negative 12x plus 28, and don't forget about the 2. All right, so if you want to combine like terms right here, that's fine, that's cool. So let's go ahead and distribute. We're gonna FOIL. So we're left with 3x times 3x, that's 9x squared. 3x times negative 7, that's negative 21x. Negative 7 times 3x, that's another negative 21x. And then negative 7 times negative 7, that's a positive 49. So all this, all right, that's how I got that right there. And again, I'm going to combine the 28 and 22 that you're looking at right here. And so we end up with that minus 12x, nothing happened there, plus 30 because I combined my like terms right here. All right. Again, you could write everything down again, then combine your like terms. Doesn't matter. All right, so now let's see what we have. We have a negative 21x and a negative 21x. This is negative 42x. So negative 42x and then negative 12. So negative 42 minus 12 is going to give us a negative 54. All right, negative 42 and 12. I'm doing everything in my head, but not a good idea. I like writing it next to each other just so I don't lose track, because you could see when you're trying to keep a whole bunch of numbers in your head, you can make a mistake. And then again, always check with your calculator. Make sure you didn't make any little mistakes. And then we have 49 plus 30. So we end up with 79 there. So plus 79. And again, we don't want to factor, so I'm not even going to attempt to factor this. So we are done with this problem. All right, so this one you should be smiling about because notice these are linear functions, right? These are linear functions. There's nothing being squared. So what we want is we want you to do problem number 2 and put your answers down below, just to see how we're doing. All right, and compare your answer to everyone else's. So press pause, do this one, and I already did an example just like it. So we're interested in seeing what you get for problem number 2. Get your hands dirty and follow me to problem number 3. All right, problem number 3 looks a little bit more intimidating because you see a square root. Some people freaking out, don't worry about it. Then we have a 5x squared, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. All right, so a lot of action going on, don't worry. So here we go, let's handle this beast. Let me go ahead, I'll call this one the red function. And so we're taking g of x, that's on the outside, and then f of x is on the inside. So let's see what we got here. So g of x, 5 parentheses squared minus 3. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, we're gonna take that square root and stick it in there? That's right, that's right. So we got the square root of 2x minus 5. So just because our functions look different, the rules never change. So again, don't change the rules on me. They stay the same, math is consistent. And what's awesome, some of you are noticing, oh shoot, we got a square root and a square. I'm loving it. Why? They cancel each other out. The square root and the square, those are the inverse functions, right? They cancel, they undo one another. Doesn't get any better than that. So we're left with 5 times 2x minus 5 minus 3. Now it's a piece of cake. You say cake? So we'll distribute. We get 10x minus 25, and that 3, I'm going to drop it like it's hot, minus 3. So we're left with 10x minus 28, right? I know you could factor out a 2, but again, we're not in the business of factoring. We are done, right? So I don't know if you could see, but it's hot in here, folks. So we need those likes to cool us down, right? Subscribe. I can't be reminding you all the time. All right, some of you are looking at this problem and you're saying, oh man, I got a -4, I got an x squared, I got an x, and you're like, oh. Make sure you read the problem first. Look what it's saying. F of x is on the outside, right? F of x is on the outside. What's on the inside? Yep, that's right. G of x is on the inside. So this one's actually much easier than it looks. So again, be careful with the order. Some people just look at it and they're just like, oh, I got to do the hard thing. No, no, no. Make sure you read, right? Always, because that's going to make life easier. So f of x, it's -2 parentheses plus 9. What's going inside there? We just said g of x, this thing right here. So let's go ahead and let's write that down. -4x squared plus 5x minus 3. So let's go ahead and do what we do best. Let's distribute. So that's an eraser. Let's distribute. So we're left with 8x squared minus 10x plus 6, and then that 9's hanging out. All we have left to do is combine like terms. All right, folks, so let's combine like terms. And that's all she wrote. So again, as you're practicing these problems, get your hands dirty. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. That's a huge part of the process. All right, and again, if you want to see some ideas, if you want to go back and review some topics, let us know what topics we can make for you. But again, do us that big favor, smash that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you folks in the next video. Peace.